What if the United States and Canada got merged? Not only would the US be able to assist Canada with its 3 times larger untapped resources than Alaska, but it would also provide the country with extreme military privileges. In return, Americans will have more advanced business options. Imagine being able to eat Canadian bacon whenever you want. We can all agree that everyone has pondered about this issue at least once in their lives. It's no surprise that the countries share the world's longest border of over 4,000 miles, a colonial history, and free trade agreements. Currently, the #1 song Canadians are playing is from Doja Cat, so obviously they do have the same taste. We cannot dispute that these two countries share not only their language, culture, and Western life outlook, but also their passion for hockey, football, and basketball. But what if they band together? Do you believe Canada would wish to be known as America's 51st state? If Canadians don't like the idea, there's another way to handle the issue without sacrificing their uniqueness. But first, let us go over the advantages of the merger. The first factor to take into account will be landmass. America will now have 7.67 million square miles of territory. When compared to Europe's 3.93 million square miles, the United States will be a little less but still approximately twice its size. America will have twice the land area of China, which is 3.7 million square miles. An uncertain economy will be the second factor. And let's be real, in today's bullying and dominating economic powers such as Russia and China, America must stand tall with supreme authority to maintain its position at the top. China's GDP will likely exceed that of the United States by the mid-2040s. In this regard, the United States is already behind schedule. And given China's massive investment in North America, the tables will be turned if Canada joins the forces. It'll be regarded as a jaw-dropping moment for centuries to come. Following the merger, the United States' GDP will be $28.994 trillion. In comparison to China's $18.1 trillion economy, the bald eagle would look like a giant in front of the red dragon. The third factor in the merger will be its massive population. And when it comes to the populace, we have a guideline that says bigger is better. If the two countries' populations are joined, America will have 4.71% of the world's population, exceeding Russia, Japan, and Vietnam combined. As a result, new commercial prospects, job growth, and military power will emerge. Military might, as projected, will be the fourth factor. Of course, Canada would love to have a military presence that is the strongest in the entire globe. Although Canada has 5,200 Ranger Patrol Group members, America's 1.4 million active military personnel will add up to the strength. Both countries will become considerably more powerful. Although the United States has thickened the border to combat drug smuggling, the country has paid a high price in terms of drones, inspectors, increased paperwork, and even regulatory requirements. Imagine that this border, along with the annual cost of the barrier, will be eliminated if these two countries combine. This cash might be set aside for national development. America will undoubtedly need to adopt a new approach to combat drug smuggling, but it will still have a better means to support economic growth. Natural resources will be the fifth factor. The Arctic region is now the golden goose that both Russia and China are keeping an eye on as the ice there begins to melt. There are already a large number of unexplored oil and gas reserves in the United States. Its workforce and its technology can tap into. The unexplored riches of Canada contain trillions of dollars worth of copper, gold, silver, diamonds, zinc, and even rare elements of solar panels. These resources still need to be extracted. In addition, see Canada's vastly vacant north, which is larger than Australia. What if new highways, airports, military bases, and other infrastructure were to be built there? With this merger, doors will be opened and crowded cities might end up having a little breathing room. The individuals relocating for jobs will be the sixth factor. Do you know that in 2021, 8 million Canadians were working in the United States? Although the number must have gone up, based on the most recent report, opening the gates looks like an excellent plan. Canadians are free to pursue opportunities under the NAFTA professional visa, but this is not a one-way street. More than 1 million Americans also reside in Canada. But this isn't taking place all of a sudden. 7 million people had migrated to the United States as of 2000. Therefore, this figure is not a joke. If the merger takes place, it will pave the way for new labor agreements in both countries. And here's an interesting fact for you. Did you know that Walt Disney, Hillary Clinton, Angelina Jolie, Ellen DeGeneres, and others have Canadian ancestry? The seventh factor will be the scary past. The topic of the merger is not new to the nation. During the adoption of its first constitution in 1781, America extended an invitation to Canada to join its ranks and break its connection with the United Kingdom. It should be highlighted that Canada only had two territories at the time, Ontario and Quebec. Now, it didn't seem right to Canadians and they simply rejected it. America attempted to invade Canada during the Battle of Quebec, but they were unsuccessful. In actuality, America was outnumbered on December 31, 1775, when Montgomery allied with James and Arnold Livingston. In this combat, 50 Americans perished, along with 431 more who were either missing or captured. However, the notion of a merger didn't vanish. The invasion of America occurred again in 1812, and they were defeated once more. It is commonly known that Canadians set fire to the White House to get revenge. According to accounts, approximately 15,000 Americans were killed, along with 8,600 Canadian and British soldiers. As a result, both countries don't have a particularly easy history when it comes to unions. Still, with so many powers emerging from the shadows, united harmony may prove as the only solution. This could explain why, following the First and Second World Wars, two Canadian prime ministers contemplated a merger plan. E.P. Taylor, a Canadian inventor, businessman, and philanthropist, has previously shared, "If it weren't for the racial issue in the US and the political problems, Vietnam they have, I would think that the two countries could come together. I'm against the trend of trying to reduce American ownership in Canadian companies. I think nature has to take its course." The eighth factor will be their different lifestyles. Canada and America have both overcome a lot in the past and have somehow inherited each other's patterns. America's gotten increasingly progressive in areas such as homosexual rights, women's rights, and even the universal healthcare system. Looking back in time, there's been tremendous growth. At the same time, Canada, which was once controlled by banks, monarchs, and a few established businesses, is becoming more dynamic. It also rules as a free enterprise. But there are so many disparities between the countries that they simply cannot be ignored. Consider the differences in free healthcare, e-tax systems, and even gun regulations between the two countries. Do you believe that Canadians will just accept how America's healthcare functions? So while the merger will be beneficial, there are still many distinctions that we cannot disregard. Okay, let's pretend for a moment that they actually adopt American laws in some way. Then there's Canada's government, which is more liberal. Do you believe it will not become an issue for American right-wing politicians as the number of opponents grows? Now that we've covered all of the important points, it's time to learn about the time when this notion was put forward to the public. In 1964, a poll was conducted that revealed that 49% of Canadians supported a merger with the United States. Surprised? You should read Diane Francis' book, Merger of the Century: Why Canada and America Should Become One Country. The author then went on to offer several scenarios and perspectives on how this merger will lead to the success of both nations, which we're unable to fathom right now. Given the current circumstances, it appears that this merger is more of a need than a privilege. According to the Daily Beast strategy, both countries have two models that could be useful to them. First, they can proceed with a full merger, as Germany did in 1990 when Berlin was re-established as the nation's capital. Or, America and Canada might be just like the EU, with free capital flow despite having different governments. When it comes to the free flow of commodities, services, and employees, they can adapt better to monetary and customs unions. Even a binational approach to strengthen the weak points in both countries would be fantastic. What are your thoughts? Do you think their merger will be beneficial to both countries? Or the populace may not accept it as easily? Feel free to express your thoughts, as well as the question you'd like answered next.